Hey, welcome back. This is part 3, and I told you guys I'd get here, so we're here for part 3. I love to honor my word, so let's get right into it. So I want to talk a little bit about my experience now. So at first, I did not believe in miracles, and I was thinking like reading this book, it's just going to be like another book, it's not going to work. But when I started reading and it was teaching me to try to link my emotions with the pain, and to think a little more psychologically. So for example, if I would have like really, heavy, hefty back pain, it taught me to just stop and be like, all right, what's bothering me right now? Now I didn't get it the first time, or the second, or the third, but weeks after just always asking myself like, what is bothering me? Finally, things started coming up and I started to feel more. So then I started seeing that I'm now like connected with my emotions again, and I'm starting to feel a bunch of junk. And after 2-3 days of like feeling all this junk and this emotional stuff, like the way I can explain it is it's just discomfort. It's like emotional pain. It's something that I've never really felt before because I was always taught as a younger kid to just repress and to, not to be angry or not to be sad and to always just have a smile on. So I started linking it with the emotions, and after a while, I just completely forgot about the pain because I started dealing with like the root causes of like where in my life I'm unhappy or I'm angry here. And the hardest part was to just not judge all that, to just go through it all. So once I started linking myself with these feelings, that's when I started really believing the book a lot. And I was like, wow, this is something that I really want to get involved with. This is something that I want to teach. I want to preach it. I want to spread this information. And, for those people that it doesn't work for, they just may not be ready to open up to the realm of emotions or feelings, or they may not believe that yet. So the way it is the book will only work for you if you are just willing to just take a great leap of knowledge and understanding and get a little bit more inside, a little more spiritual. So once I started reading the book more, and it was telling me to stop all of my treatments and doctor appointments, the book is basically telling you to disregard everything the doctors had told me. For example, the doctor told me that I had disc degeneration at L4 and L5, and I had a disc bulge, and this was the cause of my pain. And doctors had also told me that I couldn't run anymore, I couldn't jump rope, and all this was when I was around 21, 22 years old. So I had not worked out for like 3 or 4 years. So all this fear that the doctors unintentionally planted in me made me very scared to even bend over or to tie my shoes. I was in perpetual fear at all times. And the book really started to explain that you need to just forget what they had said. And that was the hardest part for me. And the way that I kind of cured that for myself was I chose to have goals, and it was calisthenics, which means getting stronger using your own body weight. So I started to really work on calisthenics, and I had goals to do pull-ups or muscle-ups or all these other skills that calisthenics does, or the people that do calisthenics do that. So once I started doing those goals, I started to forget more about the pain and to think more about how I want to get stronger and how I wanted to prove mainstream medicine wrong. And that is what really lit the fire inside me, was to try to prove doctors that they were wrong, because they had told me I could never jump rope, or I couldn't run, or I couldn't skateboard, or I couldn't do anything active anymore. And so after reading that book, and it said that all that was bullshit, it was the hardest part for me. Don't get me wrong, it was the scariest part. I started off with running. So when the goal in my calisthenics training was to prove doctors wrong, and it started to happen because I was getting stronger and I was slowly becoming less and less in pain. And this didn't happen overnight, guys. This took me around 6 months to a year for the pain to start going away for me personally. Other people, I heard the pain went away in a day or 2 weeks. For me, it was a little bit longer. And once I started getting a lot of results and getting stronger and reaching my calisthenics goals, with the thought of proving medicine wrong, mainstream medicine wrong, that lit a fire inside me where I became even more motivated and I started working even harder. And sometimes I would experience flare-ups, and what a flare-up means is your back will seize up, or your foot or your knee. And the best part about it was I didn't let it scare me anymore. Now here's a quick story. When I was at the park one day working out with a friend of mine, I'll never forget, my back seized up so bad, the pain was so intense, it drew me to the floor. And my friend was like, Mike, should I call an ambulance? Like, cause I was on the floor in a lot of pain. And so what I told myself on the ground is I said, I know what this is. I know what this is. This is TMS. This is something going on psychologically. So I got up, I could barely stand straight. I still went to the pull-up bars and I did my 100 pull-ups, my 100 push-ups, and my 100 dips that day, which was the 300 that I tried to do every single day of the week. 100 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, and 100 dips. And I did that for at least a year and a half. And I added more on top of that. So sometimes it'd be 500 to 1,000 reps a day of different calisthenics exercises. And that was the breaking point when I was no longer scared, because with excruciating pain, I completed my workout of 300 reps. Even though it hurt, I still pushed through it. And I knew the reason, it wasn't to just really kill myself. The reason why I did that was to break the fear. Another reason I believe that having back pain and all these body pains are normal in society, because it's more acceptable to have that pain than to tell somebody, oh, I'm very angry with you right now. Or it's just easier to say, I have very bad back pain and I have to leave this right now. So that's more acceptable in society, is pushing our emotions down. But what I've learned to do is feel them more healthily, understand what's going on, and just accept it and just feel it and just plow through it, knowing that it won't last. Because any state of mind is temporary. It'll change. The only thing permanent in life is change. So you need to understand what you're feeling is okay, and it's not dangerous, and it's not painful, and it's not threatening. So allowing yourself to feel takes work. It's a little bit like a skill, and you can get better and better at it. And that's what I have been doing now, today. So on the topic of anger, there's two things that I want to talk about. One is me personally. I've never really always been an angry person. I've always been somebody that kind of just like would hold his feelings inside. And so I would internalize my anger, and all that did was bring more pain, more anger of my emotional reservoir, and just fill it up, and I would just explode with like back pain. And that was another cause of my pain, was not really feeling my anger consciously or unconsciously. Now another thing with anger is those people who are very angry all the time, and they're just always pissed, and everybody knows them as just being like the angry guy that always wants to, confront people with things. When they have pain, it's not the conscious anger that's the problem, it's the unconscious anger that is the problem. And that's the hardest thing to get into and to understand, is that part. With anger aside, big things for me were deep feelings of sadness, was infuriating. Another one for me was perceived undeserved joy. So what that means is that I believe that whatever I'm doing, I shouldn't be happy doing this, or I'm not worthy of being able to have fun. I would have these feelings and I never understood them. And by reading the book, I started understanding what I'm feeling more. And by understanding what you're feeling more, gives you more options on how to deal with it. And this is where I started seeing a little bit more of clarity. Other pains for me that I've always felt as a child was sadness and guilt, a lot of shame as well, feelings of embarrassment. A lot of these feelings of discomfort, I've always pushed them down. And I'm understanding this today and how it affects me in my conscious life and in my physical body, how it affects me with all kinds of pain. And I'm very happy that I have learned this stuff, because now I have so much more options on how to deal with things. And instead of just losing my mind or to going to drugs or alcohol or to go and harm myself, instead of doing things like that that's happening all over the world, I can sit down with myself and just watch everything that's happening. And I can just watch it and observe it. And from there, it almost becomes funny, because it's like a mind trick, on how you deal with these things. And sometimes it comes really intense, so it's hard to not flip out or to lose your shit. So all these things that I'm learning has given me a lot of tools, and all these tools I would really want to share them. I want to help the community. I want to help people. I want to help people understand themselves. I want people to feel lighter. I've always been the type of goodist and people pleaser as a person growing up, and that's another thing that says in the book, that it could make you angry inside, and you don't feel this anger because it's unconscious. These personality traits really affect us in our bodies, and we don't know that, and medicine doesn't teach any of these things. Another thing that helped me so much, that I did every single day at night, is go to my journal and list the 10 things that had frustrated me that day, or the 10 things that made me mad, or what's going on in my life. I'd ask these questions. What has confused or made me frustrated? How am I doing? I'd ask myself questions like, how are you? How are you feeling inside? And it was uncomfortable at first journaling about these things, but after weeks went by and I started noticing how much lighter I felt, because I'm actually processing my day more through journaling. That was a really big one for me. Now, why am I making this video? Why did I make part 1, 2, and then lead up to 3? Why did I do this? The reason why I made this video was because the pandemic that happened 3 months ago really brought up a flare-up in me, mentally and physically. So when I say mentally, when the pandemic happened, I became very paranoid, very fearful. A new pressure in my life started, which was the fear of getting sick, or the fear of my family getting sick. This pandemic really ate me up inside. It scared me. All the news that I was hearing was really, really eating me up inside. And after months were going by and I started seeing everybody wearing masks, that started to scare me even more, because it was reinforcing to my mind that there is something wrong. So with all this uncertainty and all this gray area opening up to my type of personality, the perfectionist, the goodist, the one that wants to know everything and be certain of things, when this pandemic happened, I experienced another flare-up. I had back pain. It struck me out of nowhere, and I wanted to blame it on my workouts, and I did for a week. After my pain did not go away, that's when I realized, okay, there's something going on psychologically. And what I started to realize is the pandemic had really, really affected me a lot. It scared me so much, consciously and unconsciously. And after having that back pain, I almost didn't know what to do anymore. I was confused. I was like, okay, my pain will go away, and it wasn't going away. And so it had been almost a year that I didn't practice any of these things. And what the pandemic woke up for me was that I had stopped doing everything I used to do, which is journal, meditate. I stopped all my spiritual stuff. I stopped reading books. All I did was focus on the physical body and doing my workouts. So what I'm sharing with you today is that I stopped maintaining all this stuff and all this reading and knowledge about mind-body medicine. And after this pandemic happened, I had a flare-up, and it's like I had forgotten everything that I had learned. So I had to start all over again. I got the book, I already had the book, and I read chapters 2, 3, and 4. I started feeling better, and what this pandemic woke up to me was that I need to maintain myself. I need to continue this work for the rest of my life. And what I thought to myself is another way I can do that is by making this video, by teaching it to other people, by teaching my friends. Because when you're with somebody that you're teaching it to and they learn it, they can remind it to you back and forth, and it just bounces back and forth. So I had kind of lost touch of my mind-body medicine side, and this pandemic has been a great thing and a very bad thing. Great thing because it had woken me up and reminded me of all these things, and a bad thing because it's affecting the world right now, and I'm very hurt for all that. I'm gonna tell you right now, if doctors had told you that you had a bad knee or a bad shoulder or a bad back, or if you're feeling numbness and tingling, or you're having such bad leg pain or foot pain, or all these horrible pains, I've had it. I've had numbness, I've had tingling, I've had burning pain, I had bone grinding pain. I've had so many different types of pain that it had scared me so bad. All I can tell you is this, is that you could heal yourself, and for you not to be afraid. And do not be afraid of your emotions. Your emotions cannot hurt you. Don't be afraid of going inside and reconnecting with yourself on a deeper level. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be scared of getting judged. Just be you, relax, enjoy your life. Whatever happens in your life, good thing, bad thing, who knows? Just be free. Guys, I'm really glad that you got to see this part 3. I'm very happy to make it. And don't be afraid to ask me questions about this stuff. Don't be afraid to leave me a comment down below, or to message me, DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is OMG Calisthenics. And on that note, I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.